So talk to me about this whirlwind you've had now since last year's toy show.
Oh, it's a whirlwind, as you say. Yeah, between like interviews on radio and newspapers, and then like even television as well. I was on the Moloney show in December, and then the Homeschool Hope, and then obviously the Late Late Show last weekend, and Ireland AM also last weekend, and it's been so exciting. Like, because I love music, and before it was a pastime, and it's great that I can do it because I love it so much.
Yeah, like I mean, it's kind of phenomenal the toy show really, the impact that it has and it has had, like
Yeah.
particularly last year. Like how did it come about, first of all, Michael?
Yeah, well, me and my mum, we were kind of doing it just for something fun to be at, and because we never expected anything from it because of the toy show, and it's such a high standard and so hard to get into, and so we just kind of spent an evening picking songs out that we could potentially send in, or how we could send it in. So we decided on "Supermarket Flowers" by Ed Sheeran was our kind of pick of song, and then after we picked the song, we spent another like 2 hours recording it and taking double takes and other takes and seeing which parts of which videos we liked. And then we sent it in, and we didn't expect anything, but we were kind of like happy we'd sent it in anyway, just in case.
Hmm.
And then a couple of weeks later, they actually got back to us and asked if we would like to send in a second audition, which was just phenomenal altogether. No matter what happened from then, me and mum were just, that was our claim to fame. We were called back for the toy show. So that was us all. We were so over the moon with excitement for that. And that's when they actually asked me to sing Giants. Because in May of last year, sometime around this time last year, I had been on the More and Dahi show, and I had sang "Outnumbered" by Dermot Kennedy. So they knew I liked Dermot Kennedy, so they asked me to sing Giants. So I'd heard the song, but I'd never actually tried to sing it before. So I learned it on. They asked me to sing it on a Friday, so I spent the whole weekend just like trying to like learn it and learn it off as best I could. And then on the Sunday, I sent it into them, and like we definitely didn't expect anything back from that. We were just kind of like, I can't believe we got called back for a second audition. And then a few weeks after that had passed, we hadn't heard anything, so we were like happy for whoever had gotten it, but we were a bit disappointed. But then I came home one day, and Mum was like, "How was your day at school?" And I was like, "It was good." And she was like, kind of smirking and looking at me, and she was like, "You've been called back for the toy show," and it was just such an amazing experience. It really was. It was so exciting.
And was there anything in your head that was going, why did they ask me to do Dermot Kennedy? Was there any little suspicions that you might have had?
No, literally none. I was just like, oh, they knew I liked Dermot Kennedy from the More and Dahi show.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
so it was absolutely amazing as well.
Mm.
When Dermot Kennedy came out, I was like mind blown. You can probably see it, but
Yeah,
I
you could
I
tell in
forgot everything
fairness.
I
Yeah,
was doing on the guitar and what I was singing, and my brain kind of had to take a minute to like refresh to see what just happened, and so it was so much fun though, especially at Christmas going to do it and everything. Everybody's in
Mm.
such a great mood and form, and there's so
Yeah.
many decorations. The whole RT studio was decorated from head to toe in lights and stuff. It was just so cool.
Well, it was, in fairness to you and to Dermot and to everyone involved with the toy show. Look, it was one of those moments that just lifted everyone's spirits at a time when I think we vitally needed it.
Yeah, definitely. With everything and COVID and everything, I think this year's toy show was particularly special just for
Mhm.
that. Even just lifting everybody's spirits. I feel it was needed badly.
And certainly you were one of the moments there, definitely that look of shock and surprise and, well, I'm doing it. But I like one of the things I loved, and I watched it back there again more recently, just to even give myself a little bit of a lift. Actually, it's one of
Yeah.
these videos now, feel good, I go back to and return to. But the fact that you carried on, you went, okay, well, here's my moment, I'm doing this now. And what is happening in your mind when that's all taking place? You said a little bit of a refresh, but is there, are you stepping outside? Is there any out of body experience that's happening at that moment?
Yeah, well, again, it's all kind of a blur. I can't really remember what I was thinking completely, but I just remember before I went on, I had the lyrics in my head, like, don't forget the lyrics, don't forget the chords. And even if you do, like, if you forget the chords, play something on the guitar. Just don't stop randomly in the middle of it, if that makes sense, because that would have been bad altogether. So no matter what, just keep going. So I think that was instilled in my head and then when Dermot Kennedy came out, I, after my brain again had caught up with what I was doing, I was like, okay, just keep going. And then Dermot Kennedy started singing with me, and it was just like this whole like roller coaster of emotions. I was like, Dermot Kennedy singing with me on the Late Late Toy Show, and it was just so magical.
What happens then after that, Michael? I mean, like, Had you ever sort of flirted with record labels? Had you sent in demos? Had you done any of that?
No, I never even considered any record labels. It was, geez, that was way out of my mind altogether.
Mm,
I never thought I could be that lucky. But when I first wrote All That I Do, I was kind of just writing it, just for my dad. I never really thought anybody would hear it or could hear it. It was something that I just wanted to do to kind of honor my dad, and because I felt he deserved something. And so then, obviously, Universal got involved, and that was just crazy. And then the whole Late Late Show happened, and it was so fun. And everybody at Universal is so nice, and every time we see an email coming in, it's just so like exciting, because you don't know what's going to be happening next. And it's just so great.
So you talk about there All That I Do. It's the song you wrote in remembrance of your dad. He passed away. How long ago was that, Michael?
It was May 2017, so it was about 4 years ago.
Yeah, and it's still relatively recent. Like, so it's something I'm sure you as a family you're still grieving and working through. But I'm sure everything that's happened with you, it is in his memory, and he's in your mind all the time. I'm sure.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, he's again with me in All That I Do. So
100%.
and I know he's the reason for all of this.
Yeah, he's looking down and he's smiling, he's happy anyway, as is everyone else in your family as well. So obviously the song is very personal to you. I mean, what was it, something that was difficult to write? Was it something you had to work a lot on?
Yeah, well, when Windmill kindly gifted me the voucher at Christmas, I was kind of thinking of what I could record or how I could use the voucher wisely or to the best of my ability, if that makes sense. And I've written about 5 or 6 other songs, so I was considering recording one of them. And I was happy to do that. But like then one day it kind of came to me in a light bulb moment. My mom was making me breakfast, I think, and my dad was a chef, so he always made me breakfast. So it kind of just came to me like, I should just write a song for my dad.
Mm,
So I kind of had that idea in my head then, and I just didn't really know where to go with it from there. So in school at the time, in English class, we were studying metaphors. And so I kind of thought, instead of a literal play by play of what happened, I could use metaphors for the lyrics to kind of have a broader sense, so that anybody who listened to the song could like relate to it in their own sense, and relate onto their own story. So I went to my mom and I asked what she thought about that idea, and she gave me the idea of weather metaphors. So I thought, okay, that's a good idea. So I went to the table and I took out a sheet of paper, and I wrote down, like thunder, clouds, rainbows, and all these like weather terminology on a piece of paper. And I kind of mixed in a bit of what happened, like, or what I could remember, along with these metaphors. And that's kind of how the lyrics came about. And then I sat down at the piano to come up with like a chord progression or a melody, because all my other songs had actually been written for guitar. So just for a change, I decided to write on the piano, which I found out afterwards was actually coincidentally my dad's favorite instrument. He really loved
oh
the
wow.
piano. Yeah, so that was a coincidence in itself that I made it for the
Yeah.
piano. So then I went to Windmill, and that was super exciting. The whole, like, I wrote the song February, and then I was chopping and changing the verses and kind of rearranging everything to make it fit and see, so polishing it, I guess is what you'd say. And then in March I recorded it in Windmill. So it was just this whole kind of roller coaster of writing the song and then getting it ready to record, and kind of it was just so fun.
How many instruments do you play?
I play the piano, the drums, the guitar, the
Wow.
ukulele, the whistle, and the fiddle.
And your dad, what was your dad's name? Sorry, as well, Michael.
Emmett
And
Maloney.
was he very musical as well then? Did he play any
He
instruments when you
never
were growing
played
up?
any. He never played any instruments or anything. But like growing up, he worked in O'Hara's Music Lounge, which was actually the first live music venue in the west of Ireland.
Mm,
So he'd always speak so fondly of that, and he always loved live music. And
mm,
he owned a pub in Ballina, a live music pub. So he always had bands and gigs playing there. So he just loved live music and music in general. He just
mm.
loved it.
And when it came to then recording the track, I mean, how many instruments now can we actually hear you playing on this single?
I play guitar on and piano, um, and then I do. There's like harmonies in the background. That was so I'd never actually done harmonies, so we spent a good like hour just doing separate like tracks of me singing like All That I Do, of like in different kind of variations. So I do the harmonies and then the main vocal.
Hmm.
So it was so cool because I got to play. They had a grand piano in the studio, and I had never played on a grand piano, and it was like a Steinway. and I was in the middle of playing it, and Gavin Murphy, the producer, came up and he said, David Bowie and Prince have played on that piano, and
Whoa.
I was just, I better okay keep away from the piano. I
And
was
are they like when somebody mentions those names, are they sort of figures that you're well familiar with, or are they someone,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I've heard a couple of their tracks?
Yeah, I love David Bowie and Prince and the Beatles and Queen and all the kind of like 70s and 80s rock music. It's brilliant because my dad even has a jukebox in the front room that has like a load of CDs, and he has a bunch of speakers all around the house hooked up so that we can hear a bunch of music whenever you want. And oh, it's so cool. So yeah, I love all types of music really.
And I'm getting a sense from you as well, Michael, that like, none of this is lost on you. You're very much experiencing this as I could imagine a teenager who's, essentially on the path of their dreams now, that you're there with brimming with excitement and enthusiasm, which is a joy to see, if I'm honest.
Thanks so much, Connor.
No, you're very welcome. Yeah. So look, all that I do, it's coming out this week, isn't it?
I came out 21st of May.
Mhm.
So I think last Friday, last Friday week, yeah. So yeah, so it's been doing well. People like it, I think. So, and I've gotten so many kind messages and everything on social media. It's been great.
And who's the prompt there? I heard somebody now giving you the date.
Oh, yeah, trying to fit in everything.
Good.
It went to number one in the charts last week,
Yeah,
which
brilliant.
was just mental to think about.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's just been so much fun and so
yeah.
exciting, really, to be honest. So I'm on summer holidays now as well, so I can really focus on it and writing more songs. And hopefully over the summer, if things open up, I can do a live gig somewhere, which would be just fantastic. Because I love like busking and going places and meeting people. So it'd be the three things that I'd love most to do. So I'd
And
love
what's
to do a gig.
what's the plan now with your schooling going forward? I mean, will there be a point where you might have to make a decision and say, look, I'm going to be a rock star on the road full time now, you know?
No, no, schooling comes first no matter what, anyway. No matter what happens anywhere else, I have to be in school.
I feel like your principal might have coached you to say that, did they?
No, no.
I'm joking, I'm joking.
You have money in the back.
No, well, it is, Michael, honestly, it's very refreshing chatting to somebody who has the attitude that you do, and the fact that, yeah, look, I mean, especially given that metaphor class ended up infiltrating your songwriting as well. So clearly you are learning something of value in school.
Yeah.
um, Michael, listen, a pleasure to chat to you. I wish you continued success. All that I do, yeah, I'll be looking forward to playing that on the radio now this weekend.
Thanks so much, and I hope everybody
And,
in Cork is enjoying the good weather.
and yeah, hopefully we'll see you down here now at some point as well. So
Definitely, yeah, I'd love to come busking someday.